as you've gone from the cotton fields to where you are today, I guess the elephant in the room that I want to ask you, and you can kick me off the show if it's an inappropriate question, but I don't see a lot of African American bankers. I haven't seen a lot of them. Haven't seen a lot of African American best-selling authors. Haven't seen a lot of African American heads of a bank, or just you don't see it very often. Have you kind of considered yourself as a pioneer? I mean, is it kind of, you find yourself in uncharted waters, or does that even factor in your mind? Or
I can answer that from the perspective of me personally, coming from where I did, legally segregated world. You really didn't grow up thinking in terms of this partnership of the races, and so finding myself in the environment, in the work environment, where these partnerships had to happen in order to be successful for the companies that we were involved in. That to me was a rare occurrence at the time in which it happened. But I would say today, though, Clay, that we probably in America, we're seeing a lot more African American, male and female, being involved in really significant parts of the business. But at the same time, though, and this is the challenging part, young African American males, the age of my son or younger, many of them are slipping through the crack, and that to me is why Thrive 15 is so important. Because how can we take the stories of others, the life actions of others, and grab the mind of a young man who's just about to jump, and all of a sudden he hear me say, "Hey, you don't have to do that. You really can change your mind." That to me is important.
Just so that we can hear, I think it helps to hear that some of the successes you've had and some of the companies you've worked with, just so people get a context for your career. Because I'm trying to, in just a half-hour interview here, get a lot of things to just take a whole career and put it into a small episode here. But what are some of the companies that you've consulted with or spoken for over the years? Can you think of some of the?
One of the great joys I had when I had done work on the Northwest for Pacific Coast Gas. This was huge. I'm in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and you get this call to come and talk to all of these gas gatherers from the Northwest. But at the same time, to talk to them about leadership, to talk about diversity, to talk about team building. And I'm not sure they taught leadership while I was picking cotton. I'm not sure they taught team building while I was picking cotton.
So you do feel a little bit of joy as you get to do these things. You don't forget where you came from.
Yeah, you don't. And because I don't forget where I came from, I am clearly reminded of where others can go. And that's what thriving is all about. Helping other people understand where they can go. So when and let's move further to when Sandra Day O'Connor, our former Supreme Court Justice, I met her. I didn't know her. I had shaken her hand, had no idea who she was. And the guy behind me said, "Do you know who you just talked to?" I said, "Sorry, I have no idea." He said, "Well, that's Supreme Court Justice Sandra Day O'Connor." I said, "You're kidding me." And within months, she had arranged for me to come to Washington, D.C.
That feels surreal when they asked for you, the Supreme Court asked for you to come and address them. Is that just a surreal feeling?
When Judge O'Connor called me personally and asked me to come, I went, obviously. I got on the plane with my wife, and we went there to the Supreme Court of the United States of America. In the back of my head, I'm seeing Glen Allen, Mississippi. I'm seeing Al Sheriff riding a horse.
Yeah.
And now I'm going to the highest court in the land, the judicial system of the last resort for our country. It's still surreal. It is still surreal to see several of the judges seated on the front row taking notes from what I'm saying.
Now, I have a kind of a capstone, question for you. For anybody who's watching this, who might be on the other end of this camera, who's saying, I'm finding if they're saying that they're finding themselves right now in their early years, if they're discovering that right now, maybe they're hearing what you're saying today and they feel like, man, I'm still in the cotton field. What would be your encouragement for that person who feels currently right now like they're in their cotton field of life?
The impossible is possible. That's the first thing. The impossible is possible. Because oftentimes in our mind, we feel that where we are will not get us to where we want to go. But I'm a firm believer that every individual can literally win where they are because that winning starts with your thinking. Your mindset becomes an important part of this factoring. And so no matter what you're doing today, no matter where you think you are and wherever you think you can't go, I want you to know that you can walk on the moon, period.
Hey, I appreciate you taking the time and to be here and for letting us ask you these questions and for bringing some props with you.
Well, you know, I never thought that I would be calling these props. But every time I look at you, they're in my house. It's a clear reminder of the world that almost tried to hold me hostage. But at the same time, it's a clear reminder that we can do what we set our minds to.
Hey, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.